Everyone says AI is blowing up, but my inbox is empty. Does that sound familiar? If you're getting started trying to make money online with AI and you're feeling a little overwhelmed or lost or the world's, moving on without you, I absolutely understand because I've been there too. When you're first getting started, the AI landscape doesn't really seem like a landscape. It's this big sea of information and you're just splashing around trying to find something tangible that you can, use to move yourself forward. But the solution is a lot simpler than a lot of us make it, right? If you want to make money online with AI, you simply need to get out there and start selling services, start talking to people. As easy as that. With that, I put together a list of 4 somewhat unconventional ways you can use to get out and start landing your first clients, getting testimonials, and really get the ball rolling without spending any money on ads, without writing a ton of cold emails. With that, let's jump right into it. First one. So the first method is warm outreach, reaching out to your extended network, friends, family, friends of friends, that kind of thing. And that sounds insanely basic, but there's a way to do this that actually works, and then the other ways that will leave you banging your head against the wall, right? So this is sort of poached from Alex Hormozy, where you gather all of your contacts, old and new, across email, all the social platforms, if you got their phone numbers, whatever, everybody in a group, then you categorize them into 3 categories, okay? A being direct business owners, B being people that have access to direct business owners or somebody with very specific industry expertise, and category C, which is everyone else. And this is very important in order to get real feedback on whether what you're doing is viable in the first place, right? It's nothing worse than investing a ton in terms of time or money into an offer or something that nobody wants, right? So I actually have a story about this where I put all my eggs in the lead generation basket when I was first getting started. It seemed like the best offer, right? Like if I get in front of a client and they talk to me about, my experience or how I plan to get clients, I'd be like, well, I'm talking to you, right? So I had a niche in mind, and I had a cousin that was working in that niche in like an enterprise high level sort of position. And I started talking to him about it. And we came to the conclusion that no enterprise level clients, nobody in that niche essentially would ever hire me for that service. Kind of deflating because I put all this energy and whatnot into planning essentially, but at least it stopped at the planning and I didn't invest my time and whatnot into the lead gen campaign on a niche that wasn't going to buy. So it was pivotally important in pivoting and putting my energy into an offer that would actually make me money moving forward. So like I said, that conversation with my cousin was exactly what I needed. You need to be really specific about what it is you're doing in these messages, like why you're reaching out. And all you need is to showcase that you're a little bit further ahead the AI learning curve than they are without being too technical. In fact, it's way better if you're not technical, right? You'll get better responses that way. So always, kind of remind people if you have to about where you met them. Like, hey, Billy, we met at this thing last month. Be very specific about what it is that you would like to do or what it is that you're working on, right? And then invite them to chat somehow, right? Like either continue with email or like take them out for lunch and ask for advice, right? Like, I'm starting this new venture. Do you have a use for this? Do you have any advice or know anybody that would be interested in this thing, right? I actually, this is a bit of a bigger one. I actually talk a lot about this in my WAP community. The link to that is down in the description. We talk a lot about how to get clients and different sort of outreach, but I'll leave it at that for today. So this method is actually crazy strong, right? It gets you out there and you can start building testimonials and case studies. And yeah, you might have to do some of the work for free, but this is invaluable in building not only skills, but like how to communicate. And you can iron out all of the kinks that you would have run into with your first few production systems anyway, right? It happens. It happens to everybody, even, way further down the line. So that ties nicely into method 2, actually, which is the already done offer. And it is exactly what it sounds like. This method and having something already built changed the way I do business wholesale ever since I started doing this, right? It goes from this intangible and like hypothetical, relying heavily on your charm or like the connection you have with the person across from you, from this tangible, hard proof, working piece that people could see and you could offer, and the value was right there, right? It does wonders for imposter syndrome. And this comes after step 1, obviously, right? You build out a couple things and then you have some evidence that you know what you're doing and you've solved a problem, even if it's really basic, right? This is super good. So a great example of that, I did an application for a math tutoring assistant with AI, built out this big, robust program, took me a little bit to like get sorted out, delivered it to the clients, and then what, right? I had this code base. So what I did from there was I started researching math teachers, tutors across, different school districts and whatnot, and all their emails are public, right? Through directories. So I took this math test, I recorded a quick demo, and I sent it out to all these different people that were that person, right? Were the client that I first built this program for. They matched 1-to-1 in terms of like their needs and their problems. I showcased that I could solve it. I showed them the thing that I built, and I sold that Upwork build more than one time, right? So it goes to making money for less work, essentially. I already had it built. I didn't have to double up on that sort of thing, right? So you can see where this is going. So you built that thing for one of your warm contacts, or like, a freelancer platform or whatever. You reach out to that exact avatar over and over and over again and get paid for your previous work. And speaking of imposter syndrome and having a hard time connecting with these clients, the third method was what actually broke the gates open for me in the first place, because I was absolutely striking out before I started doing this. And that third method is to lean on your unfair advantage. Okay, so every previous job, every hobby, every after school program, every volunteer hour you've ever spent, all of that makes you unique and is something specific to only you. Okay, so I was striking out big time trying to go after, enterprise clients when I was first starting out, or like people I thought had a bunch of money. More money was going out than I was making. I was making nothing and spending a bunch on subscriptions, on outbound, on, oh man, it was a disaster. So I really went back to basics. And I kind of touched on the first point where you reach out to your warm network. I was a music producer. I was into music. So I was already in these communities, and I know we all have the same problem. Okay. All of us struggle with finding consistent clients. It's a freelancer curse, right? So what I did was I took my new knowledge of AI and I applied that to lead gen for music producers in particular. Okay. So I solved this problem. I built out an acquisition system for this very specific group of people. And then I started, offering that all over the place, on Reddit, on Facebook, on different Discord groups, all that stuff. Right. So I took my previous very specific experience, I sprinkled on my new interest in AI, and I reached out to the people that I already kind of had a connection with. I already spoke the language. I already knew the problem they had. That was my unfair advantage. And I super wish I started with that. But the idea here is to find the things that you are better than a random group of people at, right? If you're like the best person in any random room at anything, or even like top 5%, that's your unfair advantage. And this comes from anything, right? Like, even if you think it might not be relevant, it absolutely is. There is an opportunity there for you to take that experience and roll with it, whether it's like retail or sports, gardening, whatever your hobbies are, or something that you've done before. There's an opportunity there for sure. These people are warmer faster because you speak the language. You're already part of that group of people, right? You can also charge premium prices because it is a tailored solution to this particular problem, and you're not being lumped in with every other generic AI freelancer or anything like that, right? So this is another one that I help people through in my course. I've got like a whole spreadsheet and exercise on how to find exactly that thing. Like I said, the link's down in the description. But this fourth one is kind of weird. And speaking of previous experience, it was drawn from a previous moving job that I had, and it works a trick if you can get it going. And that is micro partnerships with complementary services. Okay, and this might sound a little weird, but this comes from my moving experience where I was operating a moving company, and we had to drum up some work in the slow season. So what I did was I reached out to people that reached out to a lot of people. I didn't myself go out looking for clients, but I found people that worked in the same sort of areas. Okay, so I was reaching out to realtors, staging companies, cleaners, and we all helped each other out, where it was almost like pooling our marketing resources, right? Like, we served the same clientele, but we were not direct competitors. It builds trust immediately because you're being introduced by somebody that already has that door open. Okay. So this is a little bit more in depth. And I think the best way to drum up these sorts of relationships is to work with, communities, going into like Reddit, school, LinkedIn groups, that kind of thing, and talk to people that are adjacent, your niche adjacent. Even though it takes a little bit more nurture, it's crazy because the clients that you get through this method of outreach just keep giving, and they're longer term clients, and the referrals and word of mouth here are amazing. Finally, a few quick tips, closing remarks, a few things you're probably inclined to do but should absolutely avoid. First thing being, very important that you are crazy specific and don't try to be everything for everybody. If you're trying to be everything for everybody, you'll wind up selling nothing to nobody. It's not my line, but I love that line. You want to make sure that instead of saying AI can help your business or like free up ops hours, it's like how many and how much. The numbers, specific numbers, are very important in terms of building trust, and you only get that through actual work. So, the first warm outreach bit, get some case studies, do that sort of thing. And with that, being specific, be honest, 100% honest. Even if you screw stuff up, people value authenticity more than almost anything else, especially in the AI age. Don't pretend to be a guru. Everyone's guilty of like pulling some copy from ChatGPT that makes you sound like, Alan Turing or something like that, like you're some wizard. No, be honest, solve the one thing, and don't be afraid to say that you don't know. That's okay. People are cool with that. Honestly, one of my pitches when I was first starting is that I am not an expert, but I learn insanely fast, and I'm the guy that can find out how to do it. I'm confident that I can make this work, right? And some people are cool with it, other people, aren't, and that's okay. The last thing is to be patient. AI is being misrepresented as this, magic bullet, this like cure-all for everybody's needs in a variety of different ways, and it is absolutely not. Again, I can't stress that enough. It's just another link in a long chain of like get rich quick material. It's something new and exciting and shiny, and with that, there's all the charlatans telling you that you're going to get rich overnight. It's just like any other business, takes a little bit of work, but it's absolutely worth it. The most important thing is that you just start. You're going to learn on the job a lot of this stuff, and it's always going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So there you have it. Those are the 4 methods I would recommend people new to the industry use to reach out to new clients and start growing their business. If you found anything insightful, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, tell me about your first client. How did you go about getting your first client? And if you haven't yet, how do you plan on reaching out to your first client now that you've gone through this whole spiel? I have more business insights just like this in the WAP program down in the description. I mentioned a couple times. If you're hungry for more, you can check out this playlist for more of my tools, tutorials, and insights. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.